Hi. Thank you for joining us.
So excited to meet you.
I'm Michael. It's nice to meet you.
I'm Melissa. It's nice to meet you.
As well.
Thank you for joining us.
Great
Thank
to be
you
here.
so much. Seth is the director of Class Action Park. It's a 2020 HBO show.
2020?
Oh my God, that was been crazy.
So long ago, yeah.
And what was it? Why don't you introduce yourself to the viewers, to the audience? Just tell us a little bit about who you are, how you sort of came to this park. We've got a couple of Action Park survivors in the room
goodness,
here.
you have the scars to prove it.
Is there?
I came out unscathed.
Is there
one of the few?
Is I guess future plaintiffs in the room with us right now. But yeah, please introduce yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm Seth Porges. I'm the co-director of Class Action Park along with my friend Chris Scott. I also made the movie How to Rob a Bank on Netflix, and my next movie is about SantaCon.
Oh my God.
SantaCon.
A scourge of New York. Oh my God. I hope you take them down.
Oh man.
You'll see. You'll see.
Kill them.
I loathe
Father, Son,
Oh, you're going to love this movie.
Fucking hate
Yeah.
SantaCon.
Yeah.
It is actually where everyone comes to the city to just fucking piss themselves.
It's baby's first day drinking.
Can we get, actually, I think you need to interview us for SantaCon.
No.
Fuck this, baby's first day drinking.
SantaCon is really, it's like one of the worst things.
I didn't mean to put such a damper on the mood by mentioning SantaCon.
No. But like, it's like the worst thing in the best possible way.
Yes, I know.
I love to
it's like
shit
too soon to talk about SantaCon, guys. Yeah, too soon.
And it always sneaks up on you like a fucking
You don't know
edible.
till you step outside and you're like, okay, one Santa's fine. The second you see two or three, you go, wait, what day is it?
And it's always like two guys and they're like, Tony!
Yeah.
Chasing after each other.
And it's just some poor, unfortunate girl. Like, it's
Angela!
Everybody's a Tony and an Angela. That's weird.
Anyway.
Oh my God. Anyway, SantaCon. Oh my God, you really got us on something great.
And now I'm actually really excited.
Yeah,
about
it's
this.
great.
But yeah, to talk about, I'm sure there will be a SantaCon class action suit one day.
Sure.
So just save your receipt if you bought a Santa suit, because at some point we'll all be in court together. But we're here to talk about Action Park, which I thought would be a really cool episode as we're sort of talking about class action lawsuits and civil law and how people, sue for damages. I'm a criminal defense attorney and immigration attorney. So there is a little bit of the vernacular that it'll take me a minute to kind of adjust to because I'm just not in civil court that often. But I would love to hear just a little bit. Why don't you introduce Action Park to the viewers? They've heard a bit about it from Melissa and her personal experiences a little bit, but why don't you both go for it?
Yeah. I mean, so Action Park, an amusement park in Vernon, New Jersey, 90 minutes from New York City. It was the 80s embodied is what it was, right?
I love
It was simultaneously the most fun and exciting and thrilling place in the world, and also very possibly the single most dangerous place in the world. And those two things didn't just coexist. They were, two legs of a tripod, right? Like it was this. And the more people...
because New Jersey was propping up the most dangerous place in the world, the state of New Jersey.
And the perverse thing about Action Park, and the reason I became obsessed and fascinated with it, other than I went there as a kid as well.
Yes, you had gone. Okay.
I went there as a kid as well. But the thing that really lingered in my mind was the fact that the more people experienced this park and learned how dangerous it was no secret it was dangerous.
Right.
The movie is called Class Action Park because that's a nickname the locals had for the park.
Oh my God.
People called it Action Park, Traction Park, Class Action Park. It was no secret, right?
Oh, so this was everyone.
Everyone knew, right?
Oh, wow.
Everyone knew. And the more people learned about it, rather than scaring them away, it just became more and more popular.
Right.
And that to me was like, what, right?
Yeah, it's like moths to the flame,
Moths
right?
to the flame.
Just sort of like, okay, this place is crazy. I gotta go.
Right.
And what does that say about us as people?
Right.
You know,
We're masochists.
You also want to be able to say, I went and I survived. I came out on the other side.
Especially as a kid in New Jersey, right?
Right.
You go to school and you don't have those scars.
You even living.
Your lunch money is gone. The second you don't
Your
have a scar.
neck brace is the badge of honor.
You know that wedgie's going to be nuclear if you don't if you don't have scars from Action Park.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, and so it sort of found you and you found it.
Yes.
And you sort of decided with your friend to make this.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of it was, I think, a desire to fact check my own memories. You know, I went there as a kid, as you did.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I'm looking back and I'm like, did I really see that? that I really experienced that. And I had this moment where I really was questioning like whether that was real or something I picked up in a comic book or a cartoon.
Okay.
Especially because this is an amusement park, right? And the whole premise of an amusement park, you go to Disney World, you have rides that are supposed to simulate terror, simulate danger, simulate fear within a safe, constructed, designed context. Like Tower of Terror, the whole idea is you're in an elevator that's going to fall, but it's not really dangerous, right? Yeah. And you go to Action Park and you're like, that ride actually could kill you. But as a kid, how do you tell the difference, right?
Well, and also like, I'm sorry, but my fear center didn't fully develop until I was like 26. And I think I remember it happening like at brunch and being like, oh my God.
At brunch?
What I've been doing up until this age was so fucked.
What was in the hollandaise sauce? Like,
I just like, there was this one specific moment where I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be afraid of everything now. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, right? When you're a kid, you have no fear, right? You have absolutely no fear. And if you do have fear, it's fear of being left out, right? And everybody wants to be able to, at least at the time when I was growing up, everybody wanted to be able to say, have you been to Action Park? Yes, of course I've been to Action Park. Yeah, I'm sure there are kids lying about going to Action Park, and being called out on it.
Mélissa, why don't you tell us how you ended up at Action Park?
I've been to Action Park twice. And I want to say it was like 2 consecutive summers. Maybe I was 14 or 15 or 15 and 16. Okay. I went with some friends. I can think of their names right now because, I remember everyone's name that I went to high school with. And the first time I went, I had this friend who had a boyfriend who was older and he drove and didn't tell my parents where I was going because I was a lying liar who lied.
And your parents wouldn't have let you go, probably.
Probably not. But I will say that my parents didn't want me to go anywhere. Ever. Which is why I was a lying liar who lied. And we went to Action Park. And I have to tell you, in my memory, it was great. I had a great time. I didn't get too badly hurt. You know what I mean? I think maybe I got scraped.
Sure.
I feel like maybe at one point my inner tube wasn't so tubey. You know what I mean?
When you said that, and as the lawyer in the room, I do have to kind of say this. When you said I got scraped, my literal first thought was soft tissue damage, right? We think in damages. And so as attorneys, we think in damages and like scales of damages. So there's something called the CPLR. It's the civil code for all damage for lawsuits.
You're ruining this for me.
I'm sorry, but we'll get there. So there's this thing in the CPLR where they scale what your damages owed are based off level of injury, and it's flesh, like tissue wounds, and bone breaks. Yeah. A tooth is considered a bone. I worked on a lawsuit where someone broke a tooth in a car accident, and they got bone damages, which are higher than just like a flesh wound.
This is really useful information.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So like if you get in a car accident and you're suing for damages, they're going to look at the injuries scaled on that level based off the CPLR. Anyway, go ahead.
You're a killjoy.
Sorry.
You really are. But I mean, it was a bunch of us went and we had a great time. And I will say this, though. I do remember feeling like I feel like I'm older than the people running the rides.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not just the rides, probably running
the whole park.
Yeah.
For sure. And I remember sort of thinking to myself, if I lived in New Jersey, I could probably work here. Right? I could probably work here.
That was the ideal. That was like
because I was thinking to myself, it'll be fun, right? Because it's Action Park.
Yeah.
At some point, my friends will come through.
Yeah, like the whole clientele are your peers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you sort of tell us a little bit about what did you discover, right? Because Action Park clearly was epic. It was this sort of place that people knew about. It was, they speak legend of this place.
Do, yes.
And they do.
So you took on this project to make this film, which we've seen.
Right.
Love it. Great job.
Yeah.
What made you even want to do this? Like, where did the idea come from? Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a movie about Action Park.
It really was, like I said, a desire to fact check my memories. Because, I was a journalist before as a filmmaker, and I had done some light reporting into it realizing that there hadn't been really any reporting. And, this thing had entered the realm of urban myth or suburban myth. This is New Jersey, right? Of legend. And it became really hard to determine what was real and what was some random internet rumor about this place.
Right.
And I had my own memories, which all felt like random internet rumors about this place. And I was like, I want to fact check this thing. And everywhere I looked, I realized not only is that crazy story actually true, but the truth is 10 times crazier.
Oh, no.
Like every rock you look under, the answer is yes, it happened, and then some, right?
Oh,
Like it was just escalation. And it got to a point where like I could believe anything could have happened at Action Park because the craziest stuff that you could imagine, stuff I can't even imagine.
No, this is like when I drink tequila. I'm serious. I go back through my camera roll and see what actually happened the night before, and I'm like, it's way worse than I remember.
You're a mess.
And if people knew, I wonder if they would be more attracted. It seems like they would have or less, but the place was, truly, truly insane. And this was, no accident. It was run by this guy named Gene Mulvihill, who was sort of a cross between Tony Soprano and Donald Trump, New Jersey embodied.
I was thinking like a Chris Christie sort of like Bridgegate sort of energy. Yeah.
Chris Christie was definitely quoted in his obituary. I'll say that. But
like an aspirational quote, like on the tombstone.
In his obituary in the newspapers, lauding the entrepreneurial spirit that Gene brought. Yes.
I did not know that. I don't think. That's unbelievable to me. But this man was responsible
for multiple deaths, right?
Quite a few deaths.
Is responsible a legal term? I don't know if I could say.
And he hurt kids.
Yeah. And that was the thing about Gene that I found so fascinating as a person, is he was this complex person, incredibly charismatic, probably brilliant, definitely had ideas, sort of visionary guy who seemed to draw people to him. And he, I think, became this incredible example of something we see happen, of course, today, about how people with power and personality make problems go away. Yep. And the big question everybody has for me is, how did this place stay in operation so long? It's not like it was open for one season. Action Park, under the name Action Park, was open from 1978 to 1996. So
it was busy, yeah.
And it never shut down because some regulator was like, this death trap has to close. It was financial. It was bankruptcy is what shut that place down.
Oh, it wasn't like, y'all are fucking up.
No.
Oh, wow.
They could have kept going, but times have changed, money, whatever. Yeah. And that to me was the real mystery, is how did this place stay in operation? And there's not just one answer to that. It's everywhere you look. Like, people are getting injured every single day, and they were getting injured every single day.
Yep.
One ride, the Alpine Slide, on a busy Saturday would injure.
Describe the Alpine Slide for us?
All right. You go down this like shady plastic toboggan sled thing down this track that's made out of a mixture of asbestos and cement and concrete, and you're wearing
asbestos.
Yes, it's a very useful material, I'll have you know. And you're wearing a swimsuit because it's largely a water park, right? And your brake probably doesn't work, and the guy going behind you, his brake probably doesn't work, and he's probably a little high, a little drunk, and he slams into you, and you fall off this track, and you lose all of your skin, and then to deal with that, assuming you survived, because not everybody did this ride, they would take you to this really shady infirmary tent booth shed type thing where a nurse, and I am using air quotes for the people listening, a nurse type person would spray your wound with this orange Windex bottle type thing full of what we later learned was a mixture of iodine alcohol, and everybody who experienced it said it was the single worst pain in the world. And this is a true story. After the movie came out, Judd Apatow tweeted that the screams. You guys seen the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
You know the scene where Steve Carell gets his chest waxed?
Yes.
And he's screaming,
of course. Yeah, been there.
Screaming bloody murder. Judd Apatow tweeted that the screams he was directing out of Steve Carell were inspired by the screams he heard out of the infirmary tent next to the Alpine Slide in this film.
No!
And then you go about then they throw you back into the park, and now you're wearing a swimsuit, you're shirtless, and half your body is covered with this like blood that's got this weird orange goo on it that everybody can see. So you can just look around and see everybody who's got this.
Who got yeeted on the Alpine Slide. For those listening and not watching, CJ's going to throw up a photo of the Alpine slide.
Yeah.
I would describe it as just like one of those Hot Wheels tracks.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And it's just literally made of cement.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on what I would call, I guess, just like a literal piece of plastic, like a shopping bag, stepped up shopping bag.
And this ride was
flying down a hill.
And this ride, the problem with this ride, like the problem with many of the other rides, wasn't that the concept itself was a bad idea, although often they were. There are Alpine slide rides at other places. Typically you see them on like...
I've been on something like this.
The problem with this one is that it wasn't actually designed in an intentional sense. They have this mountain, they throw this track on it, and they kind of see what happens, right? And so the idea that you're going to model something out and use physics and math or maybe software or these sorts of things to figure out what's going to happen.
Engineering. General engineering concepts.
That was not happening. And so many of these rides, like the people riding them were kind of serving as guinea pigs to figure out, does this thing work or not? And then they make shifts on the fly based on whether or not it works or not. And so the Alpine slide on a busy Saturday, that ride alone would injure several hundred people every single day. And so
every day. What really stuck, I mean, that is horrifying.
Yeah.
What really stuck out to me about what you said was the healthcare that was being provided.
Oh, yes.
The notion that
the lack of healthcare.
the notion that a theme park run by teenagers is providing health services to the people that they fucking injured.
Well, I mean, this is happening.
And then being like, we're going to pull you into an infirmary. Someone in a lab coat with a Windex bottle is going to take care of
cut off jeans and a joint in their hands.
Right.
So,
really.
We said my Sharona earlier was like the song on the radio.
Lab coat.
Like,
lab coat.
Someone.
Michael's young. He's so naive.
Lab
just
coat.
like horrified.
Well, I mean, any amusement park has like an infirmary area. Hopefully, though, it's rarely ever used. Think with Action
hopefully
Park,
it's run by a medical professional.
Yes.
Someone with some sort of an EMT, maybe not necessarily.
Credentials, a license.
RN. Yeah.
So you get injured at Action Park. They kind of do everything they can to make it go away where it doesn't reach a settlement or a payout or something like that. And so they would maybe give you a complimentary pass to the park if it wasn't that bad.
Yes.
Now, let's say you're digging. Let's say like, I'm going to sue you, negligence, whatever it is, which is probably valid. All I can say is good luck, because they developed a reputation, very intentionally, let's say cultivated a reputation for fighting every single lawsuit. These personal injury cases, as you're surely aware, are the kind of ones where they're almost designed to be, negotiate out of court, right?
Yeah.
And you get a settlement payout. Well, if you say I'm never going to settle, well, good luck finding a lawyer who's going to do that, understanding that he's got more lawyers, bigger lawyers, better lawyers than you.
What people need to understand about sort of civil law is that most cases are taken on a contingency fee basis, which is there are many different like fee structures that lawyers get paid, but specifically in civil court.
Yes.
And this is not something that I do in like criminal court, right? If this proprietor came to me and said, I've been convicted or I'm being charged with criminal charges, I would say, okay, we're going to do it hourly, or for the whole trial, I'm going to charge you X amount. Contingency fees are, I'm going to take 30% of whatever we make. Yeah. So lawyers are almost incentivized to settle to get these payouts.
And get it done as quickly as they can.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to spend months preparing for a trial. You want them to spend an afternoon in a smoky room and then move on.
Unless that trial is going to be $50 million versus $50,000.
Yes, exactly. And so, he would never ever, unless there's very few extenuating circumstances, they would fight every single case. Yeah. So let's say you find that lawyer, let's say you take it to trial, and let's say you get a payout. How are you actually going to physically collect that money? He just would not give it to you unless you had the U.S. Marshals show up at their door, ask for the cash, and this became a regular occurrence to the point where the people who worked at the park, they knew the marshals and they would point them in the right direction. They kind of knew where to go, right? And literally what they would do, the marshals would show up with duffel bags and they would just load cash in, because this place was it probably in arrears for many different settlements. Well, not so much that. It was more this place, the detergent of the money laundering was rife in the air, let's just say. And so it was all a lot of weird stuff going on in that regards, for sure. Yeah.
Looking back now, you're an adult. Looking back as to what you were doing as a teenager, knowing what you know now about the park, what do you feel when someone says Action Park? Do you feel excited? Or are you like, oh, fuck? Like, what is the like emotional response you have when someone brings up Action Park? Yeah. Because Melissa screamed when I brought it up a minute ago.
Yeah.
And CJ, our producer, went when he was a kid and he was so excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
So this fucking masochistic, like, feeling that people get when they bring up Action Park, this like, oh, I want to do this dangerous thing, so I live to tell the tale.
Right.
Do you still have that after making this film?
Well, let's just say if I had a time machine, would I go see the dinosaurs? Would I go see the French Revolution? I don't know, but I would definitely go to 1985 in Vernon, New Jersey and see Action Park. And that to me is really what drew me into making this movie is the feeling I think we survivors, if I can use that term, all have about this place and in that weird mix of feelings. And to me, you know, even if you didn't grow up in the New Jersey area going to Action Park, maybe there's something that you look back at and have this weird mix of terror and fondness and nostalgia to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to me, the story largely became about how nostalgia kind of fuzzes the darkness of youth and fuzzes the traumas and make us kind of look back at things fondly because that was our childhood, whether it was good or bad.
Absolutely.
But that's so interesting. I'm trying to think of like an analog of something that I could point to and say like, oh, I feel like fear and nostalgia and excitement and joy and all these things around. It's really hard to come up with.
You know, I can look back on it and remember how excited I was to go, how much genuine fun I had while I was there. But as an adult, recognize how dangerous that was. And if I had a kid who was just like, Mom, I'm going to go to Action Park, absolutely fucking not.
You know, to us, like one of the things we sort of began inquiring about when my filmmaker friend Chris and I started making this movie was this question of why were the latchkey kids of the 80s, how are they now the helicopter parents of today?
Because they were.
Because of that.
Because of that.
Because of that. Yeah. And that the pendulum swang because of that.
Yeah.
And so you have this entire generation of kids who grew up and, Stranger Thingsing it, right? Like riding around bikes without helmets on, fighting demogorgons and stuff. Right. And then they get older and they have kids and they look back and they're like, man, that was awesome. They have so much nostalgia. And you're like, well, would you let your kid do that? Absolutely not.
No.
And I think that was sort of really fascinating.
I say this all the time. It's a miracle I made it out alive.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean,
I had life or Action Park? Like both. Youth or
the decade of the 1980s.
Yeah. 80s, 90s. Because my parents never knew where I was because I lied constantly.
Yes.
And there was no find your phone.
There was no.
Right.
And I could say whatever I wanted. I could say, oh, I'm going to Michael's house. And my mom would be like, okay.
Be home by dinner.
Be home by the time the street lights come on. And as long as you were.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was it.
And that's what 80s parenting was. Yeah. And the story of Action Park, I think, really struck a nerve with a lot of Gen Xers and elder millennials who grew up in this time because even if, again, they're not from New Jersey, they didn't go to Action Park, they can relate this idea of doing something they absolutely should not have been doing because their parents weren't paying attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Nobody, they were not paying attention.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Can you walk us through like the end of Action Park?
Yeah.
What was the downfall?
So there's a lot of shady money movement with this park and its parent company. But more than anything, it was that the times had changed. This was a product in the 1980s. You're reaching the early and then mid 90s. It's not as popular as it used to be. It's harder to cover up the weird financial machinations. It's harder to deal with the endless number of injuries.
Interesting.
And eventually the park just, this Action Park itself was a summertime attraction on the side of a mountain. It also housed a ski resort in the winter.
Right? Highly seasonal.
Highly seasonal. And eventually it just doesn't open for the 1996 season. And then soon thereafter, they sell the whole mountain, the whole resort to a multinational corporation, the same one that owned Whistler Mountain, that really only cared about the ski resort. They didn't really want much to do with the water park. And so the water park, all the creative rides, the fun rides, they were sort of stripped away and it became just kind of this generic seasonal water park called Mountain Creek. And it's open now and it's actually like a really great little water park run by different people. It's a very safe place to go. And the people who run it are lovely nowadays. Yeah. They liked the movie. I was really happy about that. And, but it also is a park where you go to today, there really is a sense of history and ghosts almost. You walk around and you're like, not many of the original rides are there, but like, oh my goodness, that's still there. And that one is still there. And these are sorts of rides because thing about Action Park, it was one of the very first modern water parks in the country. And so the idea of what a water park was hadn't been fully defined. And so almost all of these rides were originals, one-offs, early prototypes of things that would then become standardized. And so
I remember from the film that some of them were like his brainchild, where he would draw something on the back of a napkin and then they would quite literally build it the next day with like a couple teenagers with a hammer.
Or a brainchild of some lunatic who no normal amusement park would speak to, right?
Right.
And so these entrepreneurial ride designers, guys in their basement with a doodle pad and an idea would come, would track Gene down and give him their ideas, and they would build these things and then test them by throwing teenagers down. And so you had, saw in the movie The Man in the Ball, which was one of the more infamous examples where you just roll a guy down a hill in a ball, and maybe it falls off the track and ends up going over the highway and in the swamp. Who knows? Anything could happen. Yeah.
So please watch this film. I do have to say, I want to talk about the one that was just like a circle.
The loopity loop.
Yes, the loopity loop.
The loopity loop, the cannonball.
So
loop,
you could probably tell the story better than I can, but essentially what I remember from the film was it was just sort of like this loop. It was like a slide. It was like a Hot Wheels track, right? It was a slide, one loop, and you're out.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out why people kept getting hurt in it. And so they kept sort of modifying it because people kept coming out with scrapes and cuts all over themselves, right?
First, when they first built this thing, this ride, they would test out and in, of course, the most rigorous scientific manner possible, which is Gene, the owner of the park, standing next to the ride, waving $100 bills in the air and tempting teenage employees to go down them in exchange for $100 bills and then seeing how injured they got.
And $100 when you're
1980s money?
And you're 15.
I have no idea how many baseball cards you can get for that much money.
A lot of cigarettes.
Comic books.
You can buy new teeth. Yeah. And so these...
How many Lucy's you're going to buy.
Yeah. So
what do you know about Lucy's?
I
know about Lucy's.
Yes. So
do you remember this ride?
Yes.
The loopity loop?
Yes, I do.
The second you walk into the park, it greeted you. It loomed
right
over
there.
you.
It was a landmark.
It was a landmark, and it was the signal that the world you're about to enter was a different universe from, you're not in Kansas anymore. The second you see that loop, right? And so they would send some teenagers bribed with $100 in cold hard cash, right? Down this thing. And the first couple kids they send down, well, they realized they hadn't put sufficient padding in the loop. So they get to the top and they just kind of like face plant against the fiberglass, and they're missing teeth and their mouths are bloody. God. Not a pretty picture. So we got to fix this, right? So they go in, put in some more padding, send some more kids down. These kids, no more missing teeth. They fixed that problem. But what are all these lacerations on their body? Where are these scrapes coming from? So they open up the thing and realize,
whodunit.
Looks like some teeth got stuck in that padding and it's just scraping into these kids like some...
No. So it's human teeth.
Human teeth.
I did not
chewing up these bitches.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most horrifying, primally... like aggressively distressing things.
Crunch,
crunch. Yeah.
Munch, baby.
And so this ride,
wicked.
This ride was not open often. They spent many years trying to perfect it and make it work. They spent many years sending employees down and bribed $100 a pop. I spoke to some of them. I remember when I went there as a kid, I was told, that thing was not open to the public, but I saw people going down, was told, those are employees. And the problem with this ride was that you could never fully control the experience to ensure somebody actually made it through to the other side, right? Because you go on a roller coaster, you're strapped.
Shaking. That is insane.
I think there probably were a lot of kids who were willing to go on that ride. I was not one of those kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could
it made everything else seem normal. It was like, I'm not going in that, but this other thing that's definitely death trap, I guess I got to go in that now. You know?
100%.
Yeah. And so it really, it changes the goalposts of what is normal from the second you step through.
Knowing all that you know, seeing all that you've seen.
Being a man of a certain age.
How do you enter the world from this learned perspective? How do you re-enter society after making this film, knowing everything that you've learned about Action Park? Does it change the way you approach life, amusement parks, risk? Are you just like, wow, that was fucking crazy, and you go back to the way you were?
Well, to me, it was mostly, it's going to sound all hoity-toity, but an investigation into human nature and why people, knowing that this thing was going to hurt them, still chose to do it.
It's very interesting.
And the biggest questions that I was bouncing around, and I think I was seeking answers for, was about my fellow humans and understand what is it about us? Because I could relate to that. I could feel myself being drawn into this and wanting to go there and saying, what is that? What is going on?
Of it.
Yeah. And that to me was really the biggest question. Everything else, it's like, the world's a dangerous place. We get it. Right. But also I think, asking me like, how does it change my life? Not nearly as much as it changed that of the kids who went there and the kids who work there, Right. And I think meeting so many people from that area who either spent their childhoods with Action Park as their babysitter or spent their childhoods working at Action Park. Childhood's working at Action Park is like a coal mine.
Think about that.
Like some triangle shirtwaist shit up in here. Damn.
Childhood's working at Action Park. But truly.
The workhouse of New Jersey.
Yeah. And I think it explains so much about the, generational nature of Gen X and the people who came from there and the resilience, the grit, the weirdness of them. And that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Melissa and I talk about Gen X a lot.
We do. Yeah. And I think now that we're talking about this, it makes me, oftentimes as a member of Gen X, I feel like nobody cares about us, right? Yeah. And I feel like Action Park sort of exemplifies that.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were going to Action Park, kids were getting hurt all the time. We went anyway.
Yeah.
Our parents, I mean, granted, I lied to my parents. I snuck out to go. But I mean, but like you said, there were some parents who were using Action Park as the babysitter, right? Like, what am I going to do with my kid this summer? Go to Action Park. But if you lived in the area, you knew that Action Park was dangerous, but you were sending your kid to go there anyway. It's really interesting, like what does that say? It says something about, kids will be kids and some kids are sort of thrill seekers and they'll go. What does it say about the parents of the kids who let them go?
And a lot of my kind of early investigation into the story was driven by trying to answer that question about my parents. My parents are extremely risk averse. Like if we went to some like fly-by-night carnival, they would have been like, hell no, you're not going on that ride.
Right.
With, that thing, I don't trust that carny. I don't trust that thing. Right. But we went to Action Park and I called my parents up when I got into this. I was like, Mom, what were you thinking? Like, it was so out of character for them. And they said, well, they advertised on TV and made it seem like a great place to take your family. So I go, okay. That explains the first time we went and when I got back. Because I remember my dad making jokes while we were in line about his place is called Accident Park. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's amazing to just think about like what branding or just a nice sign or the sort of perception of establishment can do to trust in a consumer. It's really interesting.
I also think that, I think we're also looking at this through the lens of today, right? Having all the information at our fingertips. So we know now today that just because something is on TV or on the news doesn't necessarily mean that you can trust it.
Yes.
But I feel like when I was growing up, if it was on TV, well, they wouldn't have it on TV.
They wouldn't let us go there if it was dangerous.
That's right.
They wouldn't charge admission and say, hey, drop your kids off here if it was dangerous.
It's just like Great Adventure, and it was nothing like Great Adventure. Do you know what I mean?
It was a wild time.
It was.
Well, thank you for joining us, Seth.
Seth Porges,
everybody.
So much. This was so much fun.
Yes.
I was so excited.
Watch Class Action Park on HBO.
Yeah, HBO Max,
And be on the lookout for something SantaCon related in the coming months.
Absolutely.
Really looking forward to that.
Also SantaCon, watch the fuck out.
Yeah. We're I'll just plug it if that's cool. We're premiering the SantaCon movie November 13th as part of Doc NYC Film Festival. So by this point, that'll probably be too late for you to see it, but look out for screenings afterwards.
That sounds like an invitation for us to go.
I think you should go.
That's really exciting. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that invitation. Thank you, Seth.